I would like to welcome on this stage an incredible man. What did he do? He had taken a lead role to empower youth as leaders. He's also a founder of African Youth Initiative Network, INET, an NGO. Victor holds an incredible career achievement. He's now the global advisor for the United Nations High Committee for Refugees on gender protection, but also forced displacement. Victor is a recipient of a lot of awards. I'm gonna just take two of them. The 2017 Élysée Treaty Awards for Peace and Reconciliation, as well as he was in 2015 a nominee for the Nobel Prize for Peace. Please join me to welcome Victor Ochen.
Hello, everyone. Yali. I can't express how very delighted I feel to be standing here. I am indeed indebted that I would be trusted to come and stand before the most amazing, ambitious, powerful generation of leaders Africa has been waiting for. It's my pleasure to be welcomed by a remarkable leader who is doing a great work in the Democratic Republic of Congo, but also inspiring the movement of young leaders within that country. And above all, I'm indeed humbled and honored to be standing in front of the Yale members. I wish you could imagine how many times I applied and I was never taken up to now. I am not jealous, I am happy for you. It's okay, it's okay. It happened, so I'm really happy to be here. At the same time also, let me take opportunity to, again, thanks for the kind intro. And thanks to IREC for giving me opportunity to come and engage with my brothers and sisters from different parts of the continent, and for the commendable work you've done for over years to bring together the emerging young leaders, the people whom we can believe in them. You have put your trust in the right place because you have identified the right heart, the heart of the young people who are eager, and throughout the week, the days, the year, they're yearning for change. You have invested in them, you have trusted in them, you have given them opportunity to flourish, and now they can say, yes, we can. We are very grateful to the US government for that. And of course, in addition to the leadership of the US aid in the region, thanks for the remarkable inspiration to the young people. You have supported them, I am happy to hear you continue to fund them, to give them space to become bigger and better in their spaces. Keep on the spirit, it's simply human. And above all, to you, the Yale community. Hello, Yale. Hello. Jambo. Jambo. I can't feel the spirit of Yale. What is happening? Jambo. Jambo sana. Well, I am really excited once again, knowing that we all come from different parts of the continent. We are representing different realities. It's my information that I look through the profile, I look through the CVs to know who are these people taken and why was I not taken. And I've been wondering, of which I'm also very excited to know that your history, your background, your ambition, your commitments is the strength that has fashioned your way to where you are today. I can't in any way fail to recognize your contribution at a community level, your choice to become leaders, regardless of your position in the society, regardless of your level of education, regardless of your gender, your identity. You have chosen to become human once more by doing what is right for the people in the society. And this is one thing that brings us together. This is the journey that we have all come a long way. As a continent, we have come a long way. We are today gathered in Nairobi, Kenya, under the theme of what my sister said earlier on. It requires courage, it requires strength and truth to know you are touching on the button on leadership in this continent. But you have come committed. You're aware of the hardships we've been through. You are completely knowledgeable of what is ahead of us, but you have come. This is the spirit upon which Mandela, we are celebrating today, stood up for, the spirit upon which Washington, we're identifying with today, worked so hard for. You are wearing the identity of the two greatest leaders of our time. Because, I'm saying of our time because their legacies live, and they will continue to live. The leaders that work so hard to build the nations, they are nation builders. And you are carrying the identity. My brothers and sisters, I think it comes with a responsibility. Mandela would be smiling to look down, to check on the young Africans, the people who wants to carry forward the torch that he lit many years ago, and that continues to live. In the same way, Washington would. I can only imagine how difficult it must have been for the selection committees or for the thinkers, for the planners to conceptualize the ideas to make it a reality to where we are. And today we have thousands of young leaders mobilized, networked, connected, supported, and with so much doors open for you. This is what we should celebrate, and this is what we should be happy to move on, aware of the responsibility that we are carrying by carrying the identity of the two greatest leaders of our time. When we talk about promoting the regional development, but also enhancing the leadership potential of young people, this agenda, this theme fits so well within the global agenda for development, from Sustainable Development Goal to the United Nations Security Council Resolutions 2250 to African Union Agenda for 2017-2018, which is harnessing the youth dividends in the continent. This fits so well, but the question is, how do we bring on the leadership that will bring about the ambitious drive we are coming forward to? Where is change in Africa? Where will change come from? Who will bring change? The answer is somewhere. And I do know for sure that it's okay to come up with ambitious dream, but how we move forward with, how we engage with, who we engage matters. Because from the 14 countries we are coming from, I said earlier on that we are representing the hardships in the community. From the suffering in Congo, to the poverty in South Sudan, to potential election crisis in the region, it will take our generation to prevent the next electoral violence in some countries. It will take the heart of love to prevent another Somalia in the Great Lakes region. We are representing a region with over 200 million people, the Great Lakes region. But this population are all caught up in war. They've been in series of war, defined by sufferings and mass movements. The last 3 days we were in Kampala for the Pan-African Summit on Migration. And you could imagine, you could feel the space, the atmosphere, from the death in the Mediterranean Sea to the xenophobic attack in South Africa, to the suffering in South Sudan, and to the political disappearance in the region. Where are we heading as a continent? Where are we heading as Africa? And who will redirect the continent? It comes back to our generation. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me, in a very humble way, present few alternatives which I think may not be the best, most suitable ones, but could be a fair way forward. She introduced me that I sit in the Global Advisory Group to the High Commissioner for Refugee on Gender, Forced Displacement and Protection. A year ago, while I was in Uganda, I got a call from Mamadou in Mali. Mamadou called me and said, "Are you Victor Ochen?" I said, "Yes." And he said, "I am Mamadou calling from Mali." I said, "How did you get my number?" I said, "I contacted among the youth networks in the region, and they told me you could help me." I said, "How may I?" And then he asked me, "May I have your email address?" I gave him. Soon I received an email with an attachment of a photo. In the photo, there were 3 boys. And Mamadou said, standing on the right, wearing the red t-shirt, is my brother. My brother left home 2 weeks ago. He went to Libya, hoping that he would cross to Europe. While he was leaving home, he left with $3,200 to pay for the boat to cross to Europe. And then last week, he called me and said we should send him another $1,800 so that he could pay. They need $5,000 to pay to cross. But the last 3 days, 4 days, we've been trying to call him. His phone is off. His emails are not going through. So we are seeing news about people dead in the sea every new day. We think he could be a victim. I got the contact. I got the name. I started making calls. I called Greece, the contacts in Greece. I called in Misrata in Libya, asking. And I was given the contact of one person who is the dealer. And I explained to him who I am. And he asked me, "Why are you calling me from Uganda? We don't have many clients from Uganda." I said, "Yes, I'm calling you." And he asked me, "Do you want to go to Europe?" I said, "No, I want to stay in Africa." And then he asked, "So how may I help you?" I said, "I have a boy, I have a friend. You might have his name in the list. Can you check for me if you have a name called ABC in your list?" And he did check, and he asked me, "Let me know who you are exactly." As I was talking, he was Googling about me. And fortunately, the Google gave a good result that this is us. And he said, "Oh, you are just a peace man. Let us talk." So when we spoke, and he said, yes, the boy left 3 days ago. He was in the list of those who did not make it. Their boat disappeared in the middle of the sea, and we don't know what happened. And none of them survived. There were 250. And then, when he told me this, and I asked him, "Have you ever traveled yourself?" And he said, "Yes, I've traveled so many times. But there were twice when I nearly died. So I stopped traveling. I don't go, but I send people every day." And I said, "Do you really tell people what it means to be in the middle of the sea? The challenges, the hardships involved?" And then he said, "Yes. We explain to everyone, each and every one of them, that whereas you're going to go, know that there is 99% chances of death. Only 1% chance of survival. Are you ready to pay your $5,000? People say, "Yeah." And sometimes you have to cut short the list because there are too many. This is the point. What desperation can make somebody trust their life with 1% chance of survival? Of course, we are happy with the generosity of people trying to save life in the sea. But that life jacket could have been given on land in a different form of opportunity, just like the US government has given yearly to us so that we can connect and support ourselves. I do know for sure, even if they're dying in the sea, They bought the boat knowing they're going to go through the darkest hours of their life. They're going through the strongest storms. But they are also living land, they're living Africa, living the darkest, the deepest sea of poverty on land because they want to look for opportunity elsewhere. Every time they go through these strong storms of violence, of injustice, of corruption, of intolerance, of bad governance, leave them with no option but to just move, leave Africa. This is the continent we are committing ourselves to work for. The continent we are committing ourselves to inspire and spread the spirit of Mandela, the spirit of Ubuntu. Ladies and gentlemen, in February this year, there was an attack in South Africa, xenophobic attack in South Africa, against mainly the Nigerian population, but also other African countries. Attack was happening. People were being killed. Hatred was spreading like a wildfire across the continent. Nations becoming their own. And you ask ourselves, where is the spirit of Pan-Africanism? The concept of Pan-Africanism was that we, the African people, the people of African descent, shares not only the same history, but we share the same destiny. We come together to politically commit so that African people may live and, and grow in their own home, in their own continent. But why is that we are now going into xenophobic attack against fellow Africans? I took a lead, of course not political. On my own, I contacted the South African youth who are organizing this. And when I talked to Shaka from South Africa, he told me, Victor, I understand your concern, I understand your fear. But let me tell you, how would you feel to live in a country of mass resources and you are unemployed in your own community? This is the pain we, the young South Africans, are going through. And this is why we are stepping up our action so that we can get the right attention. A few days after, there was a planned retaliatory attack in Nigeria. I flew to Nigeria. Nobody supported me, not even African Union, but I flew on my own account, engaging with the leaders, the young leaders, the youth leaders, the student leaders, the national student leadership, who are organizing the retaliation against the South African companies in Nigeria. Engaging with them, they were telling me, South Africans have always attacked us. We need to do something to prove to them that we can also do the same. And I said, guys, I understand your pain, but what is wrong is wrong. There is no way a South African attacking a Nigerian in South Africa and it's wrong, and a Nigerian attacking a South African in Nigeria and it's right. There's no justification. No matter the xenophobic kind of circumstance, there's no justification that we should attack and kill each other. We are tearing apart the continent. We are destroying our own. This is the kind of struggle. I was wondering, where is the powerful Yali network? Did they make any statement as the youth body in the continent to say we condemn that kind of action? Did we have any movement to show solidarity, to renew our commitment as Africans? We have a role as Yali. We're the largest youth leadership network in the continent, so we should lead. And it shouldn't be tomorrow, but should be today. As I conclude, in 2013, when war broke in South Sudan, do we have members from South Sudan here? Oh, yeah. Dar es Salaam. When war broke, you probably heard about the story of the White Army. Young forces, tens of thousands of young people, armed, working to retake Juba, the capital. And all these militias were organized along tribal lines. Asking ourselves, we saw the fleets of brothers and sisters coming from South Sudan to Uganda, We were at the border, wondering, what do we do? We are just young people, we are just youth. Through my organization, we quickly recorded radio messages in all the languages in South Sudan, and we sent it over to be played in South Sudan, the language appealing for peace, language appealing for tolerance, the language calling on young people that they're the bridge between the historically divided South Sudan and the future of a united South Sudan. Our message, much as it did not do much, but it helped. It stopped some of the militias from moving forward. It reminded the United Nations that they need to act more and act urgently. This is the kind of leadership that we should step up when disaster looms. What do? We have famine, people are dying to death in South Sudan. What are we ready to do as Yale to counter the famine in the region, to counter the climate change in the continent, to counter corruption, tribalism, sectarianism, dictatorship? This is the society we have been brought in. This is the society we are to confront. Ladies and gentlemen, although you would want to be a seed for change in the continent, know that it will be personal at some point. And when it gets personal, it gets more complicated. I experienced this myself. Having been born and raised in northern Uganda, without much opportunity, no education, struggling with my own security, my own safety, surviving on 1 meal a day for over 7 years. I was like many of my brothers and sisters I see who are malnourished in the conflict zone today. But there was one particular moment as a leader, from when I was 13 years, I chose to never fight, to never kill anybody, to never pick up the gun. And I made a commitment to my mother that I will never pick up the gun, I'll never fight anybody. Instead, I chose to stand against all forms of child soldiers recruitment, which was happening in my society. Of course, it was something, the most unpopular move in the society. But I chose and I committed to no leader but my mom. Thanks to mothers in this house. While I did it, I was committed from when I was a child, and I continued. Up to date, I don't know how to shoot a gun, and I will never learn how to shoot a gun. That is my lifetime commitment. But along the way, the desperations and sufferings of this world will never stop to come your ways. There was one fateful moment when my own brother was abducted by the Lord Resistance Army. And I missed that abduction by a few minutes. He was taken, and unfortunately has not come back up to now. He's one of the tens of thousands of northern Ugandan children who have taken, and they have never been accounted for. But to put that aside, as I was doing my work to work and empower young people, mobilize them to build peace, talk about love, solidarity, and all that, there was one particular moment when I was doing counseling in a community. I met a young man, and this young man told me a story, how he has lived in captivity and what he did in captivity. And he explained one particular moment when he was operating in my home area. This young man went on to tell me a story of how he conducted an abduction. He didn't know he was talking about my own brother, how he abducted my own brother. I said it on that sometimes it comes personal. You encounter your own, could be, should have been enemy. But what do you do? This is what you are going to face in the society. It will be personal at some point, but what do you do? You might be wondering, what did you do? I looked at the young man, told me the story. I was freaking in my heart. Said, my brother is missing. You're explaining to me how you have abducted my own brother. As he told the story, I couldn't finish the story. I said, can we cut the story and walk home? I drove home, reached home. I wanted to talk to my father. I just found no strength to tell him. I wanted to talk to my twin brother. No. I just went straight to the house. My body was shaking, and I was asking, what do I do with this young man who was abducted? And he took my brother. A day after, I went back to meet him. He didn't know. I didn't tell him that he was talking about my own brother. When I met him, we continued our story. I couldn't finish it again. It was too personal. I told him, can we meet next week? Still wondering, what do I do with him? Should I tell my family members? Should I tell anybody? And I said, if I do that, it's going to spread fire, going to spread hatred. And I don't want to do that. A week after, I went back to him, and I told him, I know you're a great man. You're so strong. You've seen too much, but you're just too good. I want to employ you. And he said, I am not educated. I don't even know how to speak English. What kind of organization takes even uneducated people? And I said, I don't care your level of education. All I care is your heart. You have a good heart. You've seen too much. You can do so much for your fellow people. I employed him. I employed my brother's abductor. And not until I did that, I was not at peace with myself. I was not at peace with him. But only when I employed him that I found sense of harmony, sense of relaxation, sense of peace in my heart. So this is how I dealt with my personal encounters. Let me leave you 4 things. As you go on, you'll encounter some personal situation. The number 1 thing for you to be a good leader, for you to bring about change, is relationship. Relationship with yourself, relationship with the society, relationship with your dreams. Sometimes your dreams are too foreign. You're dreaming of flying your own private jet in 4 years, yet you are probably struggling to get $2,000 here. That's such a foreign dream. It's good to dream big, but what's the magnitude of the dream? Nurture the relationship between your dream, your reality, between you and your leaders. Last week I was meeting with President Robert Mugabe. I was on a panel with President Robert Mugabe, and we were discussing, and he said, we need to give young people opportunity to lead. We need to give them opportunity to lead. But before we do that, they need better education. I said, yeah, Mr. President, thank you. But I told him, said, yes, education is necessary. But we have reached a point where we should educate not only formally, but also informally. Can we educate by being role models, by being exemplary leaders, so that the young people embrace? I don't want to raise another Mugabe. I want to raise a better Mugabe. That is one. And then, without relationship between me and him, we wouldn't have talked. It's only through relationship that you can tell truth to power, but tell it with love. Tell it with respect. That's where tolerance, understanding, harmony, common ground will be found. Thank you. The second one is recognition. Do you recognize people who have helped you become who you are? How much do you recognize Yali? How much does Yali recognize you? Yali Network members, how much do you support one another? I think the best way to infiltrate the system is to acknowledge what has been done right and suggest how to improve upon to make it better. That is the second one. Recognition is key. Without it, you cannot move anywhere. The third most important is respect. How much respect do you bring on the negotiation table? You're talking about change. Are we going to change from violence? Are you going to fight our ways to power? Are we going to kill our ways to power? No, we shouldn't. We are not that war generation. We are peace generation. We should do it differently. And we should act with a heart of peace. So respect is important. If you think you're going to insult your ways to power, you don't belong to this generation. Respect is key. The last is reference. I want to say reference is important because a typical example is my sister, Ochen Soki from DRC. She's here. She's a star in this house today. Wow. Ochen went through a process of capacity support under IREC program, and she was put in touch with possible mentors and given space to interact and relate and helped her interpret her concept into something practical so that she could lead our organization, the youth organization she's leading in DRC. This is the spirit that we need. She became who she is because she was referred. Reference is key. How good do you talk about your fellow Yale members? Some of you are gossipers, professional gossipers. I don't think US government is willing to create networks of gossipers here. All you come to talk bad about how the other person is, no, you belong to a wrong network. This is not the Yale of Mandela, this is not the Yale of Washington that we are talking about. I think it's important that give the best reference, respect, recognize one another's presence and support in a way that it would help us to address the challenges in the continent. Thank you so very much. I am delighted. I look forward to being mentored by all of you. I look forward to how we can work together, how we can stop migration issues in Africa, how we can address the famine crisis. Africa has over 60% world agricultural land, but why the famine? Why are we seeing our people starving and dying to death to date? We can do it, so we should do it. And I know it is difficult, but to pick up a quote from one of my favorite leader ever, that we are strong people, but we are facing so many challenges ahead of us. But because we have chosen to be on the right side of the history, yes, we will do it, and yes, we can. Thank you so much. I look forward to it.